In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to design PowerShell GUI using a tool, PoshGUI. You can access PoshGUI from poshgui.com. In PoshGUI, you have two options to create forms, that is using WPF Designer and using WinForms Designer. WPF is Windows Presentation Foundation. It is a free and open source graphical subsystem originally developed by Microsoft for rendering user interfaces. WPF uses XAML. XAML is Extensible Application Markup Language. It is a simple and declarative language based on XML. You will see when we design the forms how we use XAML. Once you access postgui.com, you have to sign up or sign in using your Google account. Then you have the option WPF Designer and WinForms Designer. You can use either of them to design your forms. I would personally prefer WPF Designer over WinForms Designer because WPF forms are attractive and user friendly. Let's start designing a simple form. I will click on WPF Designer. I will be presented with a work area where I have the options Designer, Logic, and Output. We will be asked to enter a title for the project. I will enter the title as Pinger and I will leave it private. It takes a couple of seconds to set up the workspace. Here we have to concentrate on the toolbox. Once you click on the toolbox, let me hide this menu. If you scroll down, you will see the text box option here. So the idea here is to create a form which will have two items, one text box and one button. This GUI will help us to identify if a computer or a website is online or offline. User will enter the website name or the host name in the text box and he will click on the button. The button will be named as ping. Once he clicks on ping, we will trigger a function which will test if the provided website or the computer is online or offline, and he will be presented with a grid view output where he can see the results. The first control I need to add is a text box. So I have to select this text box, drag and drop it to my form. Click on the text box and we can change the name of the text box. I will prefix it with txt and I will name it as host name. This will be useful in our PowerShell script to access the values which the user types into the text box. The next control we need is a button. So I can click on the button, drag and drop the button to my form. Once I place the button, I need to change the text which is appearing on the button. In order to do that, I have to click on common and I have to change the content property. So I will type as ping. Once I click on the form, it will change the text which is appearing on the button to ping. And also, I would like to change the name of the button to button underscore ping. It will be helpful for us in the PowerShell script so that we can easily identify the button and the purpose of the button. As we are changing the elements in the graphical user interface, we can also see that below we are having the XML code being changed. This is nothing but the XAML, that is XAML, which is designed using XML. Basically, this is the code that is responsible for presenting our form, and we will use this code in PowerShell to display this form. It is also possible to make changes here so that they will appear in the GUI. For example, the name of the text box can be changed here as well. And also we can adjust the position of the button or position of the text box or position of any element using this XAML. Okay, now we have added a text box and we have added a button, but we have to define an action when the user clicks on this button. For that, we have to choose this button and then we choose this events. Events are nothing but various actions that user can perform on the controls. For example, click is an event or click is an action that user can perform on the button. So when the user clicks on the button, we can define a function to be called. So I will name the function as test computer. Okay, we are almost done. So now we can look at the output window and here we can see the XAML code that was appearing in the designer window, and we have other codes which are responsible to display the GUI. And also here in line number 35, we can see there is a action defined add underscore click and then the function name which we had defined. So this line is responsible to call a function when the user clicks on the button. In order to define this function, either we can do it here or we can do it in PowerShell ISE. If we want to define the function here, then we have to click on the logic and we have to write the function here. Okay, I have declared the function here. I will define the function body in PowerShell ISE. So from the output tab, we can select everything and we can copy it and we can paste it in PowerShell ISE. If you have a PowerShell window open, you can just type ISE and it will launch PowerShell ISE. And let's paste the code that we have copied from PoshGUI. Let's run the code in order to confirm if the form is loading or not. The form has successfully loaded, but nothing happens when we click on the ping button. That is because we have to write the function body. Let's do it now. So I have defined the function test computer here. It accepts the parameter host name. But when we are calling the function here, we are passing two parameters, which is not necessary. We have to pass it the host name, which is available in the text box. The text box is accessible using its name, which is txt underscore host name. In order to access the text box, we can use a dollar sign and txt host name. This will give us access to the text box object, but we need the content that user has typed inside the text box. It can be achieved using the dot notation and we can access the property of the text box, that is text. So when the user clicks on the button, we are going to call this test computer function. We are passing the value that user has typed in the text box, which will be accepted by the host name parameter. Here, I'm doing a simple test if the computer or the website user has provided inside the text box is pingable or not. Instead of using a if-else statement, I have used a hash table. I have defined two items in the hash table. One is for true value and another one is for false value. Test connection commandlet will return us true or false value because we are using a quiet switch. And I am accessing the value from this hash table. If the returned value is true, we will get this value. If the returned value is false, this value will be returned. And this is how we can access the hash table keys and we can access the value from the particular key. And we are converting it to a PS custom object in order to display it in grid view. Then I am piping the result. The result will be either this or this, and it will be a PS object, and it will be piped to out grid view with the title, ping status, and the host name. That's simple. We don't have to use a if else block here. We can use the hash table, which simplifies the code. So let's see if this works now. Let me enter google.com for testing, and obviously it should display as the result as it's pingable. We can see the result is google.com is pingable. Now let me type some nonsense or gibberish value. Now the result is it's not pingable. So our code is working fine, our GUI is working fine. As simple as that, we can easily create GUIs using WPF, using PoshGUI. If you liked this video, please let me know. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I will also show you how to create GUI using WinForms. To create WinForms, we can choose this WinForms designer. Similarly, how we did with the WPF forms, we can drag and drop a text box. The text box is at the top. Just drag it and drop it here, and then drag and drop a button. Click on the text box, go to name, and change the name to txt underscore hostname. And also we have to change the name of the button, that is button pink, and also change the text on the button to pink. As we did earlier, we have to define a click event. So we have to click on events here. The options are slightly different here. So we can choose the checkbox, click, and click on the option here. And we are going to call the function test computer. I will click on OK. So our form is ready. Now we can go to code and we can select everything and we can paste it here. Then I need this function. I will copy it from my previous code and we have to paste it here. If you run this code, you will see that the form will not be displayed. That is because there is a key piece which is missing. We have to display the form, and for that we have to write a single line, that is form.show dialog. Once we do this, if we run this, we will see the form. Still we have to make some small changes. Let me do that and let's run the code afterwards. We have called the function, but we have not passed any parameter to it. So we have to pass the parameter as we did with WPF forms using the same option, using text. Now let's see if everything is correct. Okay, we have the function here and we have the show dialog here and we are passing the parameter here, which is host name. Okay, let's see if this works now. I will try to ping google.com and the results are okay. Google.com is pingable. Same, some gibberish value, google.com is not pingable. As I stated earlier, we can see the difference between both the forms here. On the left side, we have the WPF form and on the right side, we have the Win form. And I would personally prefer using the WPF form because it looks more neat and clean. You will see it evidently if you use more controls like combo boxes or any other advanced controls which will appear better with WPF forms. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please let me know in comment section or please reach me through email. Thank you.